Hello everyone, my name is Christian. Welcome back to my hobby blog. I'm very excited today because the month of August is done. We're getting into the fall season, which is my favorite season of the year. October is my birthday month, so that's another added bonus to why I love fall so much. And with that said, that means I can start diving into sort of the more scary books and reading more of the horror genre, which is something I don't do often. I usually just stick to my sci-fi fantasy corner. But this month of August, just to wrap up the final week of August before going into my uh, September TBR, forgot the name of the month there for a second. But I am really excited for September because one of the final books that I read and finished in August was this book here by John Krakauer, which I think I've already talked about, but I finished Into the Wild, and as I said, I think in the last weekly video, I was doing a book club with my sister. Her and her friends chose Into the Wild, and they invited me on to come because I'm a huge book lover, so they were really excited to sort of get my perspective, and so I was invited, and it was a lot of fun. I had so much fun sort of diving into the main character and sort of arguing for why I thought I was sympathetic towards him instead of frustrated, which is what most of the group thought, but I really enjoyed getting everyone's perspectives about this book. And it was really just a very short read. It's about 200 pages. Very fascinating stuff. I gave it a 8.5 out of 10. It's just a really great book for anyone who wants to read it. I implore you to do so. It's a very fun read. It's very interesting. There's lots of maps. It's just great. So, and for the last week or so, I've been on my reread of Gardens of the Moon by Steven Erikson, which is book one of Malazan, Book of the Fallen. And as I say many a times, Malazan is my favorite series. It's right there lockstep with Book of the New Sun by Gene Wolfe, but I fucking love this book. On reread, this makes so much more sense to me, and I'm just really enjoying knowing what is going on this time around, because the first read of Gardens of the Moon is very like, what's going on, what's the context, what's going on. Like, that's really the prevailing sort of thought that I had. And I think people are a little harsh on this book because I don't think you don't really need to know what's going on. It's just really fascinating, the world of Malazan, and also the characters. The magic system is amazing, and it's just really well written. It's one of my favorite books in terms of prose, or series in terms of prose, because just the way that Steven Erikson describes things is so like epic and just transports you to another world. And this is why I was a little disappointed with Wars of Light and Shadow, is that I felt like she was going even further in terms of the descriptions, but I wasn't able to latch on to many different things like I am with Malazan. And during Gardens of the Moon, it's just really fascinating now understanding who everyone is, what all the factions are, the different cultures, and it's just really, really fun to read it now. Like, I was talking to Philip, I think, after I finished book 10, and we were doing a discussion on it, and I was ruminating on doing a reread like immediately, and I didn't end up doing so, but he told me that whenever I do begin my reread, it's going to be like even better on the second read, and he's absolutely right, because I loved this read so far. I'm only about 180, 200 pages away, but oh my gosh, like I don't want to rush through this book, but like I'm falling back into my pacing, was taking me more than a week to read one of these books, because I'm just soaking in all the details, all the emotions, all of the character interactions. It's just so damn good, and I just really love this book now. I had it at a 9 out of 10 on my first read. I don't know if I'd put it at 9.5, because I don't know, change of scenery would be nice, but I just really, really love this book, and it's great to see all these powerful characters again, all in one room, because that's one of my favorite parts of Malazan, is when all of the major players of the story come together and talk about plans and talk about what information they know, because not all of them have all the information. Very few people actually have more information than anyone else. Like, everyone sort of just has a little piece of the puzzle, and they all have to come together and formulate a plan, and then how they adapt to the plan when it goes haywire is just so fun. I can't gush about Malazan enough. I could go the rest of my life just reading Malazan, I think. But oh my gosh, I'm loving it, and I have already scheduled a discussion. It will be a non-spoiler plus spoilers, and also full series spoilers discussion on Gardens of the Moon with Philip. So we've already set the date for that. I'm very excited for that because there's so much I want to talk about that I did not have any idea about on my first read. And as I said many a time, I never did reviews for the first 7 books because I was on a YouTube hiatus. I was sort of having my mental health bullshit going on. And I ended up doing a review for Toll the Hounds, and everyone was like, "Oh my gosh, like you're reading Malazan, where are the where are the reviews?" And I was like, "Oh, I love it," but I do regret not doing that. So I'm very excited, and I'm very grateful that Philip has agreed to come on the channel because it's not often that I can gush about my favorite books. So I'm very much looking forward to that. Now, I've also just finished The Way of Adan on audiobook, speaking of Philip Chase, who is the author of that book. And just like Gardens of the Moon, like the reread was even better than the first read. I love the first read. I gave it a 8.5 out of 10. And I think on this read, understanding a lot more about the characters, and I haven't gone beyond book 1 yet, so I'm very curious how the reread will be after reading book 3. But from what I've gathered just from my reread, there's so much little things that I forgot about that I feel like are very important to storylines later after book 1. So I'm very happy to have reread it, and I want to thank Philip again for giving the code away because he had a competition going, 10 audiobook copies giving away, and he did a raffle, and I won one of them, and my gosh, the voice acting by Alan from the Library of Alexandria is so fucking good. I was just like, I only read audiobooks when I'm on my morning walks. And sometimes I do a nightly walk if I don't have time in the morning or I wake up too late and the sun is bearing down on North Carolina. But I really, really enjoyed listening to his narration while on my walks. It really helped to sort of keep me motivated on my walks, imagining traveling with Ema and Dayraven while they're trying to go one direction, but the crest leads them in the totally opposite direction. I think that's one of the funnest moments in the book because that's my favorite thing in fantasy is when people make plans and it goes totally different direction and they have to adapt. I love watching people having to adapt, and so yeah, I really, really enjoy that. But in terms of books that I want to read for this month, I will be reading the final book of the Rainwild Chronicles by Robin Hobb, which is Blood of Dragons. This is the copy that I have. It's a little chunky. I don't know how many pages it has, but okay, it has about 530 or so, just quickly looking through. But I'm very excited to finish the series because there's a lot going on in this series. The first book I didn't really like that much. I enjoyed it for what it was, but book 2, my interest started going up, and then book 3 was just like awesome. It was right back to the sort of Tawny Man, live ship traders quality, so I was very happy to see that return. And I'm very excited to see where the story goes because there's a lot of fascinating things happening within the world of Realm of the Elderlings. And so once I finish that, I don't know what I'm going to do because I'm going to be on the final trilogy of Realm of the Elderlings, The Fitz and the Fool. And as much as I love these characters so deeply, I don't know if I'm emotionally ready yet for the ending, because Tawny Man just tore me the hell down. Live Ship Chronicles is not that way. I'm very happy that it's not as emotional of a read as Tawny Man was for me. But I'm very nervous about reading Fitz and the Fool. So I'll be very excited to begin that. But again, I'm cautious because I don't want it to end. And I love these characters so much. And I don't know. So I can go on, but I don't want to. So after reading that, I do want to read a sort of nonfiction book. And it's going to be sort of a exploration of one of my favorite directors who's from Italy, who is Dario Argento. This is sort of a, I guess, essay book. I don't know exactly how you would describe this, but it's called Broken Mirrors, Broken Minds, and it has some stills from Suspiria, from the barbed wire room that every ballet hall has, of course. The logic of the series, or of the Italian horror genre, is not the best, but that's why we love it. And I'm very excited because this is a director I've been watching for about a decade now, ever since I started college. I think Suspiria was my first movie, and then it was Deep Red, and then, yeah, after watching those two movies, I sort of fell in love. But I'm very excited to sort of see, or to learn more about his movies, because I do a lot of the special features, and I watch a lot of interviews with Dario Argento, but I don't really know much about the analysis side, sort of the film critic side. But I'm excited for this. I don't know if anyone else reads these type of books, but it's short, so it's like 300 pages, 400 at most. So, no, it's 270. So, I'm reading shorter books this month because I am reading Malazan, doing my reread of that. But yeah, this will be very cool. I'll have to see about getting someone onto the channel, talk about his movies maybe. If there's any interest in that, please let me know, because then I'll be more motivated to do that. So, and after I read that, then I'll be diving right back in to Malazan, and I will be reading Dead House Gates. This is one of my favorite books of the series. This is what made me commit to all 10 books of the series. I had up to book 3, I think, and then I fell in love. Dead House Gates, although it's a totally new cast, totally new continent, this is without a doubt one of the best fantasy works, in my opinion. And I just really love the characters in this more than book 1. Book 1 has a lot of just fantastic characters, but I feel like the emotional impact of book 2 is a lot deeper than book 1. And book 1 is just, I think, more epic in terms of sort of building the world of a epic fantasy world. But the way that book 2 sort of just evolves the story and sort of progresses the world, it's just really fascinating. I'm trying to talk about this without spoilers, but my God, I love book 2, and I'm very excited to reread it because there's a lot, especially after reading book 4, but of course after reading the entire series, there's a lot in book 2 that I feel like I'm going to appreciate more. Because book 4 features a character from this book who's just sort of a side character, but he's one of the main characters of book 4. And we don't get that until after book 2, which takes place before book 2. It's weird the way that Stephen does the timeline, but I'd have it no other way. So I'm very excited to reread this. The scope of the series is just amazing. But once I finish that, I do want to continue on with The Expanse, because I've read all 6 of the books before the time skip, and I've also watched the entire TV show, and I'm very excited to get into book 7, Persepolis Rising. I know nothing about book 7 and on. I just know that it's supposed to be like a pretty much isolated trilogy, and the TV show didn't touch it. And there's definitely some interest by the cast members and the director to revisit and do the trilogy, but I don't really know why they stopped at book 6, aside from the fact that's a time skip. So I'm very excited to revisit The Expanse because that's one of my favorite sci-fi series ever. It's definitely one of my favorite TV shows ever, but I don't know. I need to do more discussions. That way more people can kind of pick my brain about it. Maybe I'll do a Q&A, but book 7 is one that I've been having on my TBR for about 2 years now. And I finished the books early last year and then watched the entire show last year, like summer to my birthday, maybe September. I watched the TV show and I loved it and it was awesome. But yeah, my throat's getting a little dry, so I apologize for any bad talking here. But I'm just really excited because if I can finish that this month, then I want to knock out a short book. And it's going to be within the world of Middle Earth. So I will be reading The Fall of Gondolin by J.R. Tolkien. This is sort of like First Age history stuff, if I recall. All about the great city of Gondolin, which was Elvish. It fell to Morgoth, who is the original Dark Lord. The original Dark Lord of Middle Earth before Sauron. Sauron was sort of his apprentice. And that's really all I know, or what I remember of the lore of the city. But I'm very excited to read this because I really only know Lord of the Rings and that timeline deeply, but I don't really know anything before that. So I vaguely know how it goes, but I'm very excited to sort of get it all out. So let me know what you think about these books. That way I can sort of maybe relist them in terms of priority. If there's a book you'd rather me read, maybe I can prioritize that. But that is my TBR for September. I keep wanting to say July. I don't know why. But this is my TBR for September. And I'm very excited for this month. There's a lot of great books that I have on my list. And again, if there's ever a time where I'm bored, I may dip back into this book here, the collected works of H.P. Lovecraft. I've already read the first 5 short stories within it, and I really enjoyed them. I didn't love them, but they are very interesting, really great very great atmosphere, and really fascinating ideas in terms of sort of what is lurking beyond the human consciousness within our world. And I love that shit. That's my favorite type of storylines in terms of sci-fi and horror and stuff like that. So I'll be reading these books sort of to lead me into October. But if there's any other books that you would be interested in me reading or you want me to add to October, please put them down below. I would love to know them. So thank you all so much for watching, and please have a great rest of the day.